Gen Z is leading a quiet revolution in the way we think about food, and one of the biggest shifts is toward a diet that is both plant-based and protein-rich. Unlike older generations, who often saw vegetarian or vegan diets as restrictive or lacking in nutrients, today's young adults are embracing plant-powered eating as a smart, ethical, and high-performance lifestyle. But it's not just about going meatless. It's about doing so without giving up the muscle-building, energy-boosting benefits of protein. Gen Z doesn't want to nibble on lettuce leaves or live on plain rice and beans. They want vibrant, tasty meals that deliver serious nutrition, and protein is at the center of it all. Whether they're working out, studying, or building a side hustle, Gen Z needs fuel that can keep up with their fast-paced lives. That's why they're turning to foods like lentils, chickpeas, tofu, tempeh, quinoa, seitan, and cutting-edge meat alternatives that go far beyond the veggie burgers of the past. What's especially unique about Gen Z's approach to plant-based eating is the way they blend ethics, technology, and creativity. Social media plays a major role. Scroll through TikTok or Instagram, and you'll find endless videos of young creators sharing high-protein vegan meal prep, plant-based gym gains, or eco-friendly protein hacks. Food, for them, isn't just about nutrition. It's content, self-expression, and a statement about values. Choosing lentil pasta over chicken isn't just a health move, it's a climate-conscious choice. Swapping whey protein for a vegan alternative like pea or brown rice protein is part of a bigger identity. And it's not just about looking good, though that's part of it, it's also about doing good. With rising concerns about the environment, animal welfare, and health, Gen Z sees plant-based protein as a way to make a difference with every bite. Lentils are a favorite in this new food culture. Packed with 18 grams of protein per cooked cup, they're versatile, affordable, and globally loved. But forget bland lentil soup. Today's Gen Z home cooks are turning lentils into bold creations. Spicy lentil tacos, lentil meatballs with marinara, crispy lentil snacks, and even protein-rich lentil brownies. The magic of lentils is that they combine well with whole grains to create a complete protein, while also offering gut-friendly fiber and important minerals like iron and zinc. It's no wonder they've become a staple in the Gen Z pantry. But lentils are just the beginning. Seitan, also known as wheat meat, is another rising star. Made from vital wheat gluten, it mimics the texture of meat better than almost any other plant-based food, and it delivers a hefty dose of protein, often over 20 grams per serving. Fitness influencers and vegan athletes rave about it as a muscle-building powerhouse. Some even make it at home, kneading and steaming their own loaves of seitan infused with garlic, soy sauce, and smoked paprika. Others grab pre-seasoned strips from the store and toss them into stir-fries, burrito bowls, or sandwiches. For Gen Z, seitan is more than a meat substitute. It's a functional food that supports their goals in the gym and beyond. Then there's the futuristic side of the movement, high-tech meat alternatives. Companies like Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods, and dozens of newer startups are racing to develop plant-based products that look, cook, and taste like traditional animal proteins, but with a fraction of the environmental impact. These aren't the dry, flavorless patties of the 1990s. Today's meat alternatives are juicy, smoky, and often fortified with essential nutrients like B12 and iron. Many even boast protein levels equal to or greater than beef, making them a go-to for Gen Zers who want convenience without compromise. And unlike their parents or grandparents, most Gen Z consumers are comfortable with food tech. They grew up with innovation and aren't afraid of a little science in their sausage, especially if it means saving the planet. Ultimately, what makes Gen Z's eating style so different is their refusal to settle. They want food that's tasty, ethical, high-protein, and future-forward, and they're willing to explore new ingredients, experiment in the kitchen, and rethink what a meal can be. For them, plant-based living isn't about sacrifice. It's about abundance, empowerment, and creating a better world through what's on their plate. Whether it's lentil stew, seitan stir-fry, or a lab-crafted burger, the goal is the same: protein-packed, planet-friendly fuel that works as hard as they do. As Gen Z continues to redefine plant-based eating, another essential element of their dietary evolution is how they approach meal planning and balance. This generation understands that simply removing meat doesn't automatically make a meal nutritious. Instead, They're becoming increasingly savvy about food labels, macronutrient profiles, and ingredient quality. Many have adopted the habit of tracking their protein intake through fitness apps and wearables, using technology not just for entertainment, but for optimizing their health. They're calculating how many grams of protein are in a lentil salad, comparing different plant-based yogurts for protein content, or checking if their granola bar is fortified with pea protein. For Gen Z, knowledge is power, and that power translates into smarter eating. This proactive attitude reflects a broader shift from passive consumerism to active, intentional choices. They are curating their diets the same way they curate their playlists and social media feeds, with precision, personalization, and a desire to align consumption with values. In this context, tempeh and tofu have seen a revival. While older generations may have considered tofu bland or confusing, Gen Z treats it as a blank canvas. With thousands of recipe videos online, it's never been easier to learn how to marinate, air fry, or crisp up tofu in creative ways. Tofu scrambles, sesame-crusted tofu steaks, and barbecue tofu tacos are now staples in dorm kitchens and studio apartments. Tempeh, with its fermented profile and nutty flavor, is also gaining popularity among those who want something heartier and more textured. Tempeh bacon, tempeh stir-fries, and smoky tempeh wraps are just a few ways young cooks are integrating this ancient Indonesian protein into modern meals. The fermentation process also gives tempeh a probiotic boost, something Gen Z is increasingly aware of thanks to the booming interest in gut health. They know that good digestion supports mental clarity, energy levels, and even skin health, so fermented plant proteins are seen as a win-win. Meanwhile, plant-based protein powders have become essential for Gen Z's grab-and-go lifestyle. With limited time and packed schedules, a smoothie with almond milk, banana, chia seeds, spinach, and a scoop of vegan protein powder can serve as a full breakfast or post-workout fuel. These powders, made from sources like peas, brown rice, hemp, or pumpkin seeds, are often flavored with natural ingredients and sweetened with stevia or monk fruit. Many brands now focus on clean labels, organic, non-GMO, allergen-free, which aligns with Gen Z's high standards for transparency and wellness. There's also a growing preference for functional blends that go beyond protein, incorporating adaptogens like ashwagandha, brain-boosting ingredients like lion's mane mushroom, or anti-inflammatory compounds like turmeric. These products reflect the multitasking mindset of the generation. If it can help with stress, performance, and nutrition in one scoop, it's a win. Even traditional bodybuilders are being replaced on packaging with yoga doing, mindfulness practicing, gender-diverse models, reflecting a more inclusive and holistic image of health. Snacking, too, has transformed. Gen Z craves snacks that aren't just tasty, but useful, meaning protein-dense, nutrient-rich, and preferably sustainable. Chickpea puffs, roasted edamame, seaweed crisps, protein bars made from dates and nuts, and seed clusters are everywhere in college backpacks and co-working spaces. Brands that once targeted hardcore athletes are now pivoting to appeal to these young, socially conscious snackers. The packaging speaks their language, highlighting carbon offsets, recyclable materials, and ethical sourcing. Even better if the brand is small, women-owned, or community-supported. Shopping for snacks has become a form of activism for Gen Z, who see their spending as a vote for the kind of world they want to live in. So when they choose a lentil-based protein chip over a traditional brand, it's not just about taste, it's about alignment with their identity and future. This entire approach marks a significant departure from the diet culture of previous decades. While millennials often bounce between extremes, keto, paleo, juice cleanses, Gen Z is more about integration and sustainability. They want long-term habits that are both good for them and the planet. Rather than demonizing food groups or chasing trends, they're building a lifestyle around plants and protein in a way that feels natural and empowered. It's not about guilt or restriction. It's about innovation, inclusion, and progress. They aren't afraid to try something new or reimagine a classic. From spirulina protein pancakes to jackfruit tacos topped with black bean slaw, their meals are as colorful as their values. And this culinary creativity is redefining what it means to eat well in the 21st century. Beyond personal health and convenience, one of the strongest driving forces behind Gen Z's protein-forward plant-based eating is their deep concern for the environment. This generation is growing up with the reality of climate change, biodiversity loss, and resource depletion. They've seen the documentaries, read the headlines, and lived through the consequences. They understand that industrial animal agriculture is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation, and water pollution, and they're not willing to be passive about it. Choosing plant-based proteins becomes a daily act of resistance and a meaningful way to reduce their carbon footprint. Lentils, for example, require far less water and land than beef, and generate a fraction of the emissions. Quinoa, chickpeas, and even hemp seeds are considered low-impact crops that provide high-value nutrients. Gen Z doesn't just want to eat well, they want to eat responsibly. This environmental consciousness is so baked into their decision-making that it influences everything from grocery shopping to dining out to supporting specific brands or restaurants. Menus that list carbon footprints per dish or labels that show regenerative farming practices are especially appealing, as they turn abstract data into actionable choices. Food technology has amplified these possibilities. Lab-grown meat, precision-fermented dairy, and plant-based seafood alternatives are no longer futuristic ideas. They're tangible solutions that Gen Z is more than ready to support. While older generations may approach these innovations with skepticism, younger consumers are more open-minded. For them, science is not the enemy of nature, it's a tool to protect it. High-tech meat alternatives made with ingredients like mycoprotein, mung bean protein, or algae are embraced because they align with both environmental and nutritional goals. And the appeal isn't limited to vegan purists. Flexitarians, a growing category of people who reduce but don't eliminate animal products, are especially common among Gen Z. They might eat a beef burger on a special occasion but stick to Beyond Meat sausages the rest of the week. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. This flexibility allows them to reduce harm without sacrificing taste, culture, or convenience, and it reflects a more inclusive, less dogmatic approach to dietary choices. Cultural inclusivity also plays a significant role. Gen Z is the most racially and ethnically diverse generation in history, and their food preferences reflect that richness. Traditional plant-based dishes from around the world are being rediscovered, reimagined, and celebrated. Indian dal, Ethiopian mizurwat, Middle Eastern mujadara, Mexican bean stews, Caribbean lentil curries, and Asian tofu dishes are not only embraced but elevated. These meals are naturally protein-rich and plant-based, and Gen Z sees them as both delicious and educational. Food becomes a gateway to cultural appreciation, not appropriation, especially when credit is given to the communities that created them. Many Gen Z food creators actively share the origins of their recipes and promote cultural context alongside cooking tips. This shows a hunger not just for flavor, but for connection and understanding. Cooking with lentils or tofu isn't just about hitting your protein goal. It's about honoring global traditions and expanding your worldview, one meal at a time. Even food education is being transformed. Instead of relying on outdated nutrition guidelines or fad diets, Gen Z often learns about protein and plant-based eating through non-traditional sources. TikTok chefs, vegan bodybuilders on YouTube, and dietitians on Instagram are their trusted guides. These influencers use engaging formats, reels, stories, challenges, and hauls to share evidence-based advice in a relatable way. This decentralized model of learning allows for diverse voices and lived experiences to shine. A queer athlete sharing their high-protein vegan meal plan, a student explaining how to shop on a budget, or a Black vegan chef highlighting soul food traditions. These are the voices Gen Z is tuning into. As a result, plant-based eating has become not just a dietary choice, but a social movement. It's about visibility, representation, and empowerment through food. Every protein-packed smoothie or tempeh stir-fry becomes part of a larger narrative, a story about health, identity, justice, and the future. Looking ahead, it's clear that Gen Z's commitment to plant-based, protein-rich eating is not a temporary fad but a long-term transformation of food culture. This generation is setting new standards for what it means to eat well, combining ethics, health, performance, and sustainability in a way that few generations before them have attempted. They're not just influencing grocery shelves, they're shaping what restaurants serve, how food brands market their products, and even how agriculture and biotech industries innovate. Food companies are racing to keep up, releasing new lines of high-protein vegan products, from chickpea pasta and lentil-based snacks to dairy-free Greek-style yogurts loaded with plant protein. Supermarkets are expanding their plant-based sections, and fast food chains are investing in protein-forward vegan menus. This isn't just market demand. It's cultural momentum driven by the values and expectations of a new generation that refuses to compromise. They want food that tastes great, performs well, fits their budget, aligns with their identity, and contributes to a better world. And they're making those demands loud and clear with their wallets, their social media posts, and their everyday choices. Education systems and healthcare providers are also beginning to take notice. Nutrition classes in schools are increasingly discussing plant-based diets, not as fringe alternatives, but as viable and recommended options. College dining halls now offer more high-protein vegan meals, recognizing that students are no longer satisfied with iceberg lettuce and pasta marinara. Hospitals and wellness centers are incorporating plant-based nutrition into recovery plans, athlete support programs, and mental health strategies. Gen Z has helped push this conversation forward, asking smarter questions about food, demanding better answers, and holding institutions accountable. They want transparency from food labels, responsibility from manufacturers, and representation in dietary guidelines. And perhaps most importantly, they want flexibility, systems that allow individuals to explore plant-based lifestyles in a way that's personalized, inclusive, and empowering, not rigid or exclusive. Technology will continue to play a massive role in this evolution. From AI-driven nutrition tracking apps to smart kitchen gadgets and personalized meal subscription boxes, the tools Gen Z uses to maintain a plant-based, protein-rich lifestyle are only growing in sophistication. They're used to digital solutions and are eager adopters of anything that makes healthy, sustainable eating easier and more accessible. As these tools become more intuitive and integrated with health data, they'll only reinforce and accelerate this dietary trend. In the future, you might see meal plans that auto-adjust based on your protein needs, your carbon footprint, and your cultural preferences, all delivered via app in real time. Gen Z won't just use this technology, they'll drive its creation, bringing their values into the food tech space and ensuring it serves the greater good. What Gen Z is ultimately creating is a food movement that's not based on exclusion, but on innovation and impact. They're proving that you can eat plant-based and still be strong, satisfied, and socially responsible. They're showing that food is not just fuel, but a reflection of who you are, what you care about, and how you see the world. With lentils and seitan, with tofu and chickpeas, with high-tech burgers and ancient grains, they're building a new kind of plate, one that feeds the body, respects the planet, and honors diverse cultures. The future of protein is here, and it's plant-powered, Gen Z approved, and packed with purpose.